Hello.
Yo.
Uh, we went to a midnight screening of John Carter.
But I didn't have the guts to go through it that night, so we're doing this a little belated.
They didn't need to know that, dude.
What?
They could have just put it up and said that we filmed it immediately afterwards.
I am a good boy, so I am honest.
Nobody lies on the internet. What the hell are you doing?
I liked it, and that's coming from a guy who doesn't really like Disney films all that much.
Yeah, I enjoyed it far more than I do most like action blockbusters, except superhero movies. I like superhero movies.
Well, that's the thing. I don't like Disney, but I make an exception for Marvel and Ghibli. So that's because neither of them are really connect. They're just owned by Disney. Disney doesn't really tell them what to do. So.
Yep. So we both liked it. Would you recommend people go see it?
I would.
So would I.
If nothing else, for just like the visuals. I mean, I'm an engineer, so I really like technical design, like the ships they have. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves a bit here, but
yeah, it was a pretty looking movie. I can't help but compare it to the standard blockbusters that you see nowadays, and compared to Transformers or the upcoming fucking Battleship movie, which, yeah, there was a trailer for. It was a masterpiece, you know. Classic, high adventure. It far surpassed the standard fare I've come to expect from blockbusters.
well, actually, I've heard about this. Is that they've actually this thing where like there's now selling these movies overseas, and since it's really good a bitch to translate them, they're instead just making them all about visuals. So the Chinese can just say, "Oh, this looks colorful and happy and stuff." And,
Well, there's also a whole thing about it having to relate across various cultures. That some of the old school movies, especially like, okay, I can't really think of a perfect example, but that relate more to, have a deeper story, relate more to like an American experience, are harder to market overseas, as opposed to here are giant robots here to destroy the world, and we're going to fight them.
yeah. But that's what this was. I think this is going to be like they're trying to aim this to the international crowd. Maybe
Hard to go wrong with fighting aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bit that's...
I mean, there are parallels between American history a lot. I mean,
yeah, there's the whole thing that he's a Civil War vet.
From the Confederacy. Even.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised by that. I thought if they would have changed anything for this, they would have made him a Union vet.
Well, it actually doesn't. It doesn't make it kind of interesting. Where he's like captured by the cavalry, and they're trying to like blackmail him or something like that, working for them, because they're having trouble with the Apache in Arizona, and he's just interested in finding this gold, this mine of gold he's been looking for all of his life. And like 3 times, they put him they tie him down, and he gets up and like fights his way off.
Yeah.
And every time they put him in a worse situation. Like they put him in chains, they put him in they tie him to the floor, or whatever, and he still gets up and fights. And
yeah, it's a very Indiana Jones thing to do. I kept coming back to that. I kept thinking of the parallels with Indiana Jones. I don't really know why, but there was a lot there. I did have my problems with the movie. There were a few things that bugged me. The villains are these... well, first of all, they're white, which is kind of weird. It's weird that the natives of Mars, half of them look human anyways. But
then there's the other ones that are like forearm.
Have forearms. They
these little tusk things.
Thugs or something like that.
Tharks, I think they were.
Something like that. But it's these bald guys, and all I could think every time they were on screen is, why is that not Patrick Stewart? How much better would that have been if it was Patrick Stewart playing?
They're all CG animated anyway. I mean, what's the point of having Patrick Stewart if you're just going to...
No, the villains, the...
the monks. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Every time. That's all I could think is, that should so be Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, because I guess the premise of this movie is that before, on Mars, on Barossa?
Something like that.
Barossa, there was these 2 civilizations. Well, three civilizations, but two of them are at war with each other, and the third is just kind of like hanging to the side, waiting to see who wins and who they're going to side with.
I think the idea is more that they wait until the other two one takes the other out, and then they conquer the remaining one. I think was the idea.
Possibly. But then this like race of I just thought of them as monks because they look like monks. They
were wearing robes and
had bald heads and medallions,
religious symbology. I can see that.
But they come in and they give one of the leaders of the cities a super weapon, which is like this blue energy thing. I think they call it the ninth ring or something like that.
Ray.
Ninth ray.
Yeah, it's basically a laser. Although,
but it's super laser.
He could turn it into a sword and other stuff that I don't really understand. But there you go.
And these monks give it to him because basically they want him to take over this Mother Mars because they can manipulate him into doing whatever they want him to do. And now he's on a campaign to unite the city so they can then kill everyone or something like that and have him rule over them, but he'll be ruled over the monks. And the monks are not native to Mars. That's something that...
Yeah, they didn't go too much into where they're from. They made it clear that they've been to Earth. One of them knew Virginia.
That was... I actually like that gag. That was... when John Carter first arrives on Mars... he doesn't speak any of the languages there. So he says, I'm John Carter of Virginia. And the guys, the aliens, the four-armed aliens think, oh, your name is Virginia.
Yeah.
And they never really corrected that.
No, that was still there at the end of the movie, which is interesting. But they don't actually get too deep into why these monks are trying to destroy the planet. They make one reference to they feed on the destruction of civilizations.
Something like that. Yeah, they said something about they don't
cause it. They manage it.
Yeah,
and feed on it, which they didn't get too much into. But I don't think you really needed to. They were basically portrayed more or less as like a force of nature. They were the shark from Jaws, basically.
Actually, this isn't how the movie starts out. The movie starts out with John Carter on Earth, and he's dodging these what I originally thought were government agents.
Yeah, these just
guys in
a dude in a bowler hat, basically
button-down shirt. Yeah, it's like button-down coat, and he dodges them, and eventually he sends a telegraph to his nephew Ned, or something like that. Ned was what he called him. That's a plot point. But he gets, how do I put this? He sends him a telegram, and the minute Ned arrives at his estate, he learns that his uncle has died. And there's going to be all these weird preparations for his funeral. Like he's going to be locked in a mausoleum with no external key and an open casket.
No embalming.
No embalming, no. He just
can only be opened from the inside.
Yeah. And he then gets his journal of his, which is then he starts reading, and that's where the movie proper begins.
That made me laugh consistently throughout the movie. That every once in a while I just remember that his nephew was reading this from a book. And so when it gets to the point where he's fighting giant albino gorillas with a sword in a
arena.
Yeah, and in a Coliseum type setup. All I could think was, it should just cut to the nephew, close the book, say, damn, my uncle was crazy, and walk